What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna do some preaching to people in VR chat.
Alright, the mom places are always more expensive, but God, they taste so much better.
I'll pull up. See him.
What's going on, fam? How we doing tonight?
When he was a lobby with us
Good.
before,
Are you our waiter?
I was Reaper,
Can
you see my skin?
and he
No, I've got
tell him that.
like for performance reasons. You guys are all crashed
And
into
then
a
he
thud.
told me that was me. I was twisted, but now it's
You're looking
It's
like
Fall
a really,
Guys.
you're looking like a really awesome crash dummy to me right now.
Can you see the?
I'm sorry.
I'm not a crush. I'm just Fall Guys.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, but when you turn the avatar off, you know how like it looks like a crash dummy.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I just did this one.
There you go. Can I ask you fine people a question?
They don't do this for me. Well,
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
can
I
you
asked
read
like
it?
2,000 people this question over the last
I
2
see
years in
every
VR
EMF and
chat.
I can see
broken.
them with the peak.
What is the meaning of life?
Otherwise, they don't exist.
Bro, to be happy, bro. Just live life, bro. Be happy.
Weed and hose. Weed and hose.
Weed and hose. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy's got it.
Yeah.
That too, bro. That too. Weed and hose, bro. Honestly.
Yeah.
Very
I would say it's the experiences and the people you meet along the journey.
The effect.
And then you motherfucking
Oh my
die.
God.
Yeah,
You don't get to see any of this ever again.
Hey, what's up, Shadow?
Wait, I can-
So I think regardless of your worldview, I think we can all agree that like
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
is the most important thing in this life, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
people that have like access to all the weed and all the hose, to quote Mr. Kermit
Don't
over
get your ass out of
here,
my face.
do they seem completely contented? No. Like the answer is no.
That's not a real word.
Contented? Is
I
that a
have
real
no
word?
idea what he said. Yeah, exactly.
No, you're
What's
looking for
contented?
content, not contented.
Contented is the state of being content.
No, that's just content.
No. Contented. Go,
No.
Google
Your
it.
hand right
When
Google
someone's
it.
content, they're content, not
The
contented.
state of being made content is contented.
Just do this.
No, it's it's just content.
Google it. Google it right now.
I don't know what else to
COE.
tell you
Thank you,
except
bro.
it's
Thank you, bro.
content.
You're welcome.
Go Google it right now.
Listen, sir,
Contented.
I know your glasses are a sweater
Bro,
vest,
shit,
but I
he
can
about
tell
to
you
film
right
us in
now.
4K.
Google
It's
it.
content.
Right?
Yeah,
go
see,
look,
yeah,
go look
that's
at
who I am.
Google
I'm
it.
the- I'm the
okay,
catch
well,
you
then
with
just
5K
Google it. Just
penguin.
Google it then, Dragon. I would encourage you to Google it.
5K, they
I have a
upgraded
I
that
have a
hoe?
headset right now, so
Well, I mean,
wait a minute.
you can bring up a browser, I'm sure, in your headset.
Who are you?
To whom are you speaking?
Friends with
Doug, put that up. Doug, put that up. Doug, put that up.
Oh, okay. I got you.
You could have asked that a little nicer, to be honest.
Doug, I
but-
don't think they can see you.
All right, well, good talk, fam. Nice talking to you.
Well, I've never seen that.
Tracking is so much better than mine.
So, by the way, let me hear. Let's see. Can we bring up the? Let's bring up monitor 2. Weird. Why isn't monitor 2 coming up? Oh, I guess it is. Go look at.
Frozen in time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll encourage you to Google the word contented. To be made content. Oh, I think I clicked the wrong button. So let's try a different instance.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh boy.
I have one of those too, but I don't want to use it. Even though it says it's PC.
Gotta love when people decide to use DMCA music, copyrighted music, when you're joining in the room.
The head was gone, what the fuck? It was like,
What's going on, fam?
when the ass shake, the whole body shake. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm fucking saying.
Oh boy.
Looks like I came to the wrong place.
I've done if they had VR, right? You know, and I just wonder, you know.
What's going on, fam? How we doing
Some of
tonight?
these kids. You know,
Hey, what's up?
Doing good.
I wonder if it's
What about you?
pretty.
Good. Can I ask you fine people a question?
Oh, Pastor Brock!
What's up, dude?
Oh my God!
What's up?
Not much. How are you doing?
Good. You
Yeah,
know
pretty
me?
good. Yeah, we talked a little bit yesterday. You
Oh.
asked. I mean, no,
Oh.
feel free to talk to some of these people.
No, I was just.
I mean, I'll keep quiet. I'll keep
no,
quiet.
no, no,
Hi,
no.
Dad. I love you, and I don't know who you are.
Hi,
Yeah.
Dad.
I was just gonna ask you guys, what's the meaning of life? Hey, what's
Not
up?
much. Just listening to
deceased?
music, just jamming.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I already gave my answer last time. So I
Yeah,
don't wanna,
yeah.
I don't
I'm
wanna take
sorry
the, take
about
the
that,
show
Lem.
here.
I'm remembering now. It's hard with just
Yeah,
names
no.
and avatars.
That's true. That's true. I mean, like, I'm sure you'd be going around. You see, you guys, just like the 2,000 people. My
Oh
dude.
yeah,
you
at
got
least.
you got
Yeah, at
quite a
least.
few there.
Yeah.
Well,
So anybody
Well,
else have any thoughts
Hey,
on
Pastor
that?
Brock.
Hey, what's
you
up,
got
friend?
like a crowd here. Man, people just be following.
Hey, what's up, crazy? What's the meaning of life, man?
The meaning of life.
Yes. Like, what's the reason you draw breath? What gives your life meaning, purpose? What objective are you after in this life? What do you consider important and meaningful?
Just close people I know, stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. Yo, hold on, did you say the people you know, the close people you're close to?
Yeah.
I totally agree, dude. Totally agree. You know, everybody says I was just in a group. I was just in a group like 10 minutes ago, not even 30 seconds ago. And the guy's like, hose and weed, bro, man, hose and weed. I'm like, dude, okay, so go ask, you know, Snoop Dogg, who's had unlimited hose and unlimited weed. Does that man look contented to you? Absolutely not.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, and so I think the most important thing, what was that?
I just said real shit. That dude looked fucking miserable.
Yeah, and so I think the most important thing in this life are our relationships. So I think you got it right on the money, crazy. Regardless of your worldview, regardless of what you believe, I think relationships are the most important thing. So if that's true, like that completely reorients our life, right? Like so maybe we should spending less time, effort, and energy to get the summation of hose and weed, and be more oriented towards meaningful relationship. Now, if relationship is the most important thing in this life, the highest possible relationship of which I could be engaged, if it exists, would be with my maker. So I'd agree with what Augustine said in the 4th century. You've made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee. What do you think about that, boss?
Yeah, buddy. Keep in mind, I am listening.
I
I'm
agree.
just listening to music as well.
No, you're good, man.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think.
You want to know how I?
Yeah.
You want to know how I have? That's what that one word I'm trying to look for.
Yeah.
That life in meaning. That
Yeah.
friends, furry families.
Yeah.
My mother actually.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, my parents. The divorce was final. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing too, I care about this person. Another thing too, I do care in meaning in life. I do have feelings. Yeah, we had that breakup that I don't know if I told you about, but it was sad. But I always have feelings for this one person, and we talked about that in church on Sunday. So we're taking another shot, and we're gonna try to see if we can. Me and him gonna try to see if we can if we try to fix what we can do. Try to fix the issue. Try to fix the issue. Oh, my brain's just messed all over the place. So, fix the issue. Try to fix the issue, and try to help us in the long run down the road. Because so that way, it can help us in the long run.
Okay, good.
I see you get out the toilet just fine, huh, Mom? I'm with my mother. I have to help her every so often.
Oh, good. Well, you're helping your mother, man.
So-
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in Florida. I'm not even in North Dakota right now.
Oh, okay.
And you know why? Because I brought my. That's why I love the Quest, because you can take it anywhere.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
Even if you're out of town, if you want to do church related stuff, you can just bring your Oculus and just.
Very true.
Okay, do this.
Very
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was nice being here. Hey, Mom.
What?
Say hi to Pastor Brock.
Hi, Patrick Rock.
Pastor Brock.
Hi, Alvin's mom. Nice to hear. Your
My
voice.
name's William, by the way.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
Well,
my
mine's-
name. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Wait a
William's
minute.
mom.
Yours is what?
Yes. My first name is William, indeed.
Dang! Holy crap! Guess what, Mom? Pastor Brock's actually my first name.
found you.
Holy crap!
Hey, go up, Chung. I found you. I couldn't remember how to find you.
Oh. Well. What's going on, Taylor? How's your evening going?
I am sick. I am
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
not great.
Oof.
Many
Yeah,
many heart attacks, many seizures, many palpitations.
Oof. Not fun. Lem, you were saying something?
Yeah.
Hold on, Lem, go ahead, boss.
Wait, where's the top mirror?
I just wanted to ask you, what
Yeah.
do you find, like, when you say relationship with your maker, what does that mean for you?
Yeah. Well, so I'm what you would call so I'm a sacramental Christian, and so what does that mean? Okay, so you can divide Christian groups into a whole host of different camps, but okay, so a sacramental Christian would include people like Episcopalians, Lutherans, Roman Catholics, Orthodox. This idea
I can't
that,
get the Hopkins out.
that God works through physical.
Come over here, Terry.
That God works through physical means, right? Like things like baptism, the Lord's Supper, these sorts of things. So I think relationship with God, really the pinnacle of, prayer can be a relationship with God, but I think the pinnacle, the very high point of relationship with God is to encounter Him in the church service, in the sacramental life, encountering Him in so sacrament, like holy things, right? So a sacrament would be defined as God working through the physical, right? So like the Lord's Supper, I think, is the very pinnacle of relationship with God. That you can like the word communion, right? That's another name for the Lord's Supper. The prefix "com" means with, and then union means union. So this idea that I can have union with God in the Lord's Supper, I think, is the most. I think is the highest expression of, at least in this life, of relationship with God. I don't know if that makes any sense. That might be kind of philosophical or theological. I could break that down more. but that'd be a short of an answer.
To be fair, full disclosure here, I grew up Roman Catholic, so I kind of understand what you're saying. Yeah. So like the sacramental like kind of connection, and I kind of get what you're saying.
You can understand.
I'm just kind of curious because I'm kind of curious because like growing up Roman Catholic, you know, obviously like I don't subscribe to that anymore.
Sure.
But what I'm kind of interested in is kind of like your opinion on like a lot of more Eastern religions, the ones that kind of get out of the picture, like the Hinduism, the Buddhism, where like the idea of what you may say your connection with your maker is more of this kind of a loose definition, you know, through this intense meditation you can kind of connect with the spiritual web of humanity, right? Like have you ever like read into a lot of that stuff, like Hinduism, Buddhism, and their kind of like stuff?
Well, yeah, in terms of like the encounter,
take on their
with like Buddhism, the whole idea of communing with your maker is a little bit less there because they don't have a classical exception of a deity. But like if you read like, or if you listen to George Harrison's what's the song? It's like I just want to be with you, Hare Krishna. There's a song. Harrison was a Hindu. So I think Hinduism, the idea of encountering the divine, I think that's a big theme in Hinduism, and that's the whole idea behind a Hindu temple, right? Is that I can encounter God. But I was just going to say, I have tremendous respect for Buddhism. I think Buddhism gets a lot of things correct. Though I think that they get a tremendous amount correct, but I think they get the most important thing incorrect. You know, Gautama Buddha, after he attained to enlightenment, he left his son and his wife to go attain enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And so after this happened, he came back for a moment to visit the palace. I don't know if they were after like, you know, support for their but whatever. He came back to the palace with his wife and and he's like his wife basically begged him, please stay. You know, your son needs a father. And the Buddha said that no, you don't understand. I have to become detached from all desire, and that means I need to extinguish my desire for you and for my son. And see, I can understand detachment to things, and I think that's very Christian, that I should not become attached to sex or bodily comforts or all of those things. I think there's a lot of good there, but no, I should absolutely be attached to you and to every other human being, because that's what love is. Right? As one of my seminary professors put it, love is saying to the other that you're essential to my existence. That's what it says to love another person, is that you're essential to my existence. You can't be you can't be I must have you. Hold on one second. I gotta my wife's tapping me on the shoulder.
Oh, I said that's a cute avatar. Where'd you get this one?
Hold on, let me see.
Okay, I gotta be a little more quiet. So we're gonna be like smooth jazz DJ here. We're gonna lean into the microphone and try to talk a little bit more like we're smooth jazz. Anyways, go ahead, Len. What were you saying?
I mean, I 100% agree with a lot of the stuff. Like, I find there's a lot, like Western or Eastern religions are just kind of all over the place. And it's really hard for me as somebody who grew up, you know, Roman Catholic. I learned all about, you know, Protestants. Like you just learn all that stuff, and like it's important to like history classes. But like kind of going into like this stuff, you know, it kind of shocks me how little I knew and how a lot of that stuff is. And so it really I find it's interesting, the kind of similarities between like what they get right and what, like, you know, a lot of like Christian religions get right. There is a lot of like intense stuff, like the meditation is so important. The like compared to like prayer, you know, that communion with your maker, right? The kind of ritualistic aspects. Like I find that very very interesting that transcends these kind of boundaries.
Yeah,
and while I think
yeah.
there's those little things, I think it's interesting.
No, I mean, I think there are for sure there definitely are similarities between religions, but I guess I would guess I'm fond of a line that one Christian theologian said once. He said, I think the world sees the different religions as superficially different and essentially the same. He may have phrased it slightly differently. It doesn't really matter. But he said, in fact, no, they're fundamentally different or essentially different, and only superficially the same. So they're not just they don't just have like kind of outward facade kind of differences, and then they're all the same on the inside. I would say they're the opposite is that they may seem similar on the outside, but on the inside they're essentially different. And so like here's the thing is like fundamentally, like if we do believe that relationship is the most important thing, you're talking about relationship with my creator, like Lem, we can't be in relationship if I insist that you're an 89-year-old grandmother who smokes Marlboro Red cigarettes and beats her grandchildren with a baseball bat. Like we can't be in relationship if I insist that you're someone you're not, right? And so if the question is if God has revealed himself to humanity, if that's really a thing, then we should try to be in relationship with him on his terms of how he's revealed himself. Yeah, hey, what's up, friend? Talking
I mean, I do
religion
think
and
that's
philosophy.
yeah, that is. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I can't raise my hand about, hey, pass the bar. Can I borrow you a quick?
Looking forward to this.
Hold
Can I borrow you a quick?
on one second, Tara. What was that, random?
I'm sorry, I was just saying, right after you said you're talking about religion and philosophy, I was like, yeah, this is my kind of chat. What's
nice, man, nice. Sorry, what were you saying, Tara?
This is my friend, Random Frag.
Hi,
call him
Random.
Zebo because that was his last name.
Good to have you, boss.
He could use some prayers. He could use some prayers.
Okay, yeah, what's going on?
You can trust me on this one, Zebra. I'm gonna keep calling you Zebra. Go ahead and tell him what's going on.
Just fucking boyfriend trying to break up with me.
Oh man.
It's just hard.
Yeah, friend. Let me pray for you real quick. Let's pray. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we can be rejected by people. We can be rejected by the world. We can feel devalued by that. Like that's the reason why it's so painful to be rejected by someone, especially someone we love and value, is because they're basically by their actions they're calling us they're calling us worthless. They're calling us of little value, and that's so painful. We can feel so worthless, and we can feel so depressed by that. But Lord, I give you thanks that you say to each of us, to indeed all of humanity, that we're valued. The value of something is equal to the price that you're willing to pay for it. My belly button lint can be worth $250,000 if someone wants to buy it and someone values it as such. And Lord, I give you thanks this night that in the midst of our depression, in the midst of our feeling worthlessness, in the midst of our being alone, you say to us that you are worth death, even death on the cross. And so you have ascribed to each of the members of the human race a tremendous exceeding worth. And so my prayer for Random is that he would know that he is valued despite this breakup, and he is not alone, that you are in our midst, and you ever shall be. And Lord, I just pray that you'd comfort him in the midst of this very painful season. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You're my pleasure, Random. It's painful. Like there's no silver bullet for these kinds of situations, but I would say 100%. I think sometimes I'm always looking for that in the midst of my pain. Okay, what are the magic words that are going to take my pain away? But I think sometimes either God abides with us, or God either dwells with us, delivers us from the pain or through the pain. That's what I was trying to say. My brain's not firing tonight. And so I think sometimes, and I think there's often things to be learned from suffering too. So I think this is why God allows us to experience suffering for a time. But yeah, my heart goes out to you, friend. If nothing else, know my compassion, and that I care for you, and I'm with you in the midst of that loss. I know it's so painful.
Yeah, I'm going through some stuff too. But whenever I have problems, and I find out one of my friends have problems,
that's
I that my problems hurt me, but I help them.
That's awesome, Tim. That's good.
What I'm going through is I went to the hospital last month. I owe them $2,000.
Yeah.
Because they stupidly used the wrong Medicaid. They used Blue Cross, not the Medicaid.
Oh man.
I asked for a checkup, but they didn't do a checkup. They did a full-on scan. So
gotcha.
I owe them $2,000, and I don't have $2,000.
That's scary. Yeah. Try calling.
So if I don't pay it.
Yeah, try calling up the billing department. Oof. Yeah, try talking to the billing department. Sometimes they can work some reduction, especially if you tell them, hey, I'm in a bad financial situation. They can sometimes work with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, though, friend. That's anxiety provoking.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'm pretty sure I have depression, anxiety, social anxiety, and other things.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Basically, drama or stress can pretty much kill me.
Yeah.
So if I go through so much of it, it's just my lungs are collapsing, and it feels like sometimes my lungs will get extremely cold to the point where my heart will start hurting.
Man, yeah, I think like a lot of times we talk about so I'm a hospital chaplain, and so we receive kind of some mental health training, and the big thing, regardless of your worldview, that I think can be helpful is mindfulness. So trying to bring our mind back from the future and be in the present moment. It's interesting. So the original Greek New Testament word for anxiety is merimnazo, and merimnazo is where we get the English word meridians from. You can hear meridian and merimnazo. Merimnazo is MERMINADZO, and you can see meridian, MERIDIAN, in merimnazo. Anyways, so a meridian is a piece of something or a slice of something, and when we're anxious, all our mental slices are kind of scattered all over to our many problems, and we're not really in the present moment. Like, if you ever talk to somebody who's really anxious, like, you can be talking to them, but they're not focused on you at all because their focus is on the problem that's coming up and the fear, and they're not collected with you. And so what we can do, one of the things we can do to bring all the pieces back together and be a whole person in the present moment is to be thinking about just what you're feeling in the moment. Like, if you're sitting down, feel your back against the chair. Feel what does the ground feel like under your feet? What does your VR headset feel like against your forehead? Focusing on your feelings, or what you're literally your sensory. Like, what does it smell like in your room? What does the air feel like within your lungs? Asking these kinds of things, what it does is it patches up all the little meridians. It patches up our little pieces of ourselves and brings us back into a whole person in the present moment. And that, if we're a whole person in the present moment, we can't be fixated on the future. So that can be a real helpful practice in the midst of anxiety. So that's what I'd recommend.
Hey, Pastor.
I gotta go. My
okay.
Internet's about to get shut off.
Take care, Tara. I hope you feel better, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I said your friend request.
You and your friend.
Yeah, Torque, you were gonna say something, boss?
Gets better too.
I heard somebody say something.
That was me.
Oh, hey, what's up, deceased? Good to see you, boss.
Do you have the mirror on?
No, I don't. I can turn it on, though.
I didn't know if you could see me because I know this is the mirror right here or something. But what because I'm not versed on it, but what in the Bible counts as like a drug versus medicine? Like, what's the line?
I would say great question.
In
Yeah.
terms of, like, a bad drug or just a drug in general?
I would say that it's not really necessarily like what the drug is, like whether it's cannabis or opioid or whatever. I think it more depends on the intention behind the drug use. Like, if you're trying to alleviate someone's pain, I would say that's a justified use of a drug. If you're using it...
Wait, is this a pastor?
Yeah, I'm a pastor. well, technically a hospital chaplain now. I was a hospital or was a pastor for many years. But anyways, yeah, I love Extinct. Extinct. I'd love to talk about it. So anyways, deceased. I was gonna say. So it really doesn't matter what the drug is, if it's used for the alleviation of pain. I would say you're probably in good grounds. If you're using it recreationally because it feel good, I would say that's probably not good. Especially if not feeling good's not like inherently bad, but I would say that if you're especially if the use of this drug like depreciates your dignity, like if you're sloppy and goofy and weird because of the drug use, I'd say that's especially kind of against God's will. God doesn't want us like drunk. God doesn't want us God does want us sober to a degree. But yeah, so
didn't he say in Genesis that like herb, the herbs are good? He said the herb. So wouldn't that really mean that like any kind of plant would be fair game for usage?
I think I think weed can be used in a proper context. But again, like look at somebody who's okay. Like you.
What about psychedelics like magic mushroom?
Possibly. Again, if it's so look at somebody who's on psychedelics. Look at somebody who's on who's on weed. Like if you saw Queen Elizabeth tripping balls, like you wouldn't want to see that, right? Because there's you're okay with your buddy tripping balls, but if Queen Elizabeth was tripping balls, you'd be like, oh man, get her. I don't want to see that. Like that, she's supposed to be this dignified, royal, formal woman that's inconsistent with my image of what I want my queen to look like, right? And so in the very same way, I think we know that. Like some people are like, yeah, dude, I'd love to see Queen Elizabeth tripping balls. Like that'd be hilarious. Okay, so outside of like the hilarious content, like you want your queen dignified. And so in the very same way, like you and I are royalty. We're sons and daughters of the living God, hopefully, and so that requires a dignity in the very same way that Queen Elizabeth needs to be dignified. And so, again, I think if it's for pain relief, I think it could very well be okay to use psychedelics, or I don't know what psychedelics their effect is on those who are in pain. So the thing about psychedelics is they can be. It's been proven that they can be used as a replacement for SSRIs for depression. Yeah. Like if you have a trip, I think it's like once every 3 months, is it? Yeah. And it reduces the depression way more than SSRIs do. Yeah.
And honestly, people they'll say they have bad trips, but really, what it is psychedelics can show you the parts of you that you don't really want to see. They call them ego trips, or ego deaths, where you realize things about yourself. So in that, they can really be like a therapy, a therapy for people. Now, obviously, there will be people that don't garner anything from that, and they just, they're like, oh, I saw, gorillas playing frisbee in my room, but there's
therapeutic benefits.
Good intent. Yeah, there is therapeutic benefits to taking it. So.
Yeah, but see, like here's the thing, like I get it, possibly, but I think here's human nature. Like when we know something, when we want to do something. Okay, this is a little thing my wife and we call it cart horsing. Right, like so. Let's say I'm like, "Hey, honey, let's go visit my parent, or let's go." I'm trying to think of something. Let's go to let's say there's a trip, and I want to take the trip, and she doesn't want to take the trip. Right? She instead of like actively like saying open about why she doesn't want to take the trip, she'll say, "Oh, but it's raining. It's raining, and it'll be cold this time of year," and da 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 da. Right? Like she's inventing reasons after the fact for what she already wanted before the fact, right? And so like we do this all the time as human beings. We're always like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do that because da 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 da. But really, those factors have nothing to do with our decision. Our decision was already made, and now we're looking for justification based on the decision we already made. And so, what I think a lot of times, like I wonder. I'm not going to proclaim to know anybody's reasoning, but I'm just looking at my own reasoning and implying and asking the question about other people. And so, the question that I would have is could it be that someone who's asking these sorts of questions really just wants to enjoy their hallucinogenics and hold on, just 10 more seconds. Hold on, 10 more seconds. They really want to use their hallucinogenics, and now they're just trying to find reasons to justify their drug use. That would be my question. Is this really coming from the place of benefit?
I don't think so, because the thing is mushrooms are they're millions of years old. They've been here before us.
So
and they were not something like LSD that. Okay. They're not like LSD where we created them 50 years ago and that's what we put in our mouth. Mushrooms are something that grow in the ground and have been used for spiritual encounters for thousands of years among many tribes and religions. And it's something that was taken very, very seriously. Back then when they took like ayahuasca and that stuff, it wasn't something where they were like, "Ooh, I'm tripping out, man! Whoa!" It was a very spiritual experience to talk to God or to talk to their ancestors or whatever they believed it was, and it shows the mind kind of what you need to see.
Gotcha.
So
Lem, go ahead, Lem. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say so my first experience with LSD was because I was very depressed and I heard that microdosing would help me with depression, and so that's why I started. I got LSD to try microdosing, and eventually I tried to take a larger amount to actually trip. But I think that in and of itself, that's not an uncommon experience. When people are really down in the dumps and they just want to feel good, right? They'll resort to things that they know are bad. Like people that are doing heroin are not doing heroin because they want to feel good. They're doing heroin because they feel so bad they just want to feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like a lot of times with these substances, like it's like LSD, there are people that just want to have a good time and they'll take whatever. But when you start going into these substances, like these hard drugs, like anything past weed, I guess you could say, right? It really takes a certain mindset to really be willing to do that. And I think that mindset is really crying for help. And I think it's not as much as cart horsing as much as they don't understand the real problems and they're looking for a solution without knowing where to look. And I think
do you know about how in Vietnam the soldiers, so when they went to Vietnam, there was a large amount of heroin usage because the morale was really low there, and so that's all they had to do was heroin. And the families were really worried that they were going to come back a bunch of junkies and just be on heroin, but they didn't. They stopped heroin usage after the war because there was no reason for them to. There was no terrible reason for them to want to resort to that drug. But I don't think there are inherently any good or bad drugs. There are just substances that are used, and depending on how we use them, that it correlates the meaning. I don't know. If you have, I really don't see a good usage for Ritalin.
There's not a lot. There's some out there that are really iffy.
So I want to talk about something real quick, if I can. Deceased, you talked about the religious character of some of these drugs, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's definitely a thing. But I would say just because a particular religious group uses a particular thing in a religious way, or even if multiple do, or even if a large segment do, from at least from the Christian perspective, I would say that's not necessary. I mean, certainly they have sincere beliefs. I don't deny their sincerity, but from a Christian perspective, I would say these are misguided attempts to commune with the divine. This is not the way which God desires to commune with Him. And you say, "Oh, well, that's really arrogant to you, Pastor Brock." Well, there's this old Indian axiom or story. I don't know if I shared this with you before. Stop, interrupt me if I did. There's these three blind men, and they're touching an elephant, and the first blind man touches the trunk and says, an elephant. An elephant is like a snake, like an anaconda snake. And the second blind man touches the foot of an elephant and says, an elephant's like a tree trunk. And the third blind man touches the tail of the elephant and says an elephant is like a rope. And if that, and a lot of people say like maybe that's the reason why all these different religions, are encountering God. They're encountering the same elephant God, but they're just encountering him a different way, a different part of him, right? And I think this is a lot of people really like this and this view of God, and so maybe these people that are tripping on mushrooms and encountering, maybe they're encountering just a different aspect of God. But I would say that analogy works unless of course the elephant speaks up and says, I'm a 2-ton quadruped. With a trunk-like trunk and stump-like feet and tail-like
and a dick-like cock.
Well, there you go. Thank you for that profound addition. I'd say so. The question is if God speaks, it's not arrogant. It's actually arrogant to say no, you're a rope or a trunk or a snake. So that's from my perspective. I'm of the opinion that the elephant has spoken. And so that makes me, to use Among Us language, it makes me sus of those who wish to encounter and commune with God via mushrooms. So, yeah.
Among Us language.
Something before he says something?
Did you say fuck me?
Yeah, sure, Niall. Fire away.
You said fuck you to me?
For example, you're talking
niggers,
about depression, but they're actually...
bro. You said fuck, you are a nigger? Yo, he just called me a nigger, bro.
For example, if you go to the forest or something like that, where you walk, it sounds weird, but if you walk like barefoot, you can actually get rid of like, it's kind of spiritual, but you have to go that way. And also, if people want to get rid of their enemies, they give them drugs. Like that's what the British did to the Chinese.
Love drugs.
Many Americans with that, like the CIA, they're like documents like, I don't know, take a way to get away from something that you don't want to have. So sounds weird, but
well, I think there is like psychedelics are in a different class than a lot of drugs. So like I think from my perspective, I think you can take psychedelics as a very clinical substance for treating depression and having spiritual experiences. Like if you're specifically aiming for that and you're aiming for set and setting, and you do in a tropical situation, it can really induce a state of mind very similar to intense meditation or prayer. Like they've done MRI scans on people doing both, and they're almost identical. And what it does to the brain, and I think it can allow, in a certain circumstance, a way to take people that are incapable.
Why does God have a thing against gays?
To attain that mindset.
Yeah, it's a good question. We can talk about
it. Give it to them and put them in a good setting.
Listen. Can I not listen? Jesus, you always gotta be talking.
I wasn't even talking to you. I wasn't even talking to you.
Shut up, you're furry, bro.
Bro, just shut up. I'm trying to listen. Bro,
Cry me a river. Cry me a river. Cry.
I would just block him, my dude. He's gonna be here all day.
All I did was ask a simple question. All I did was ask a simple question, and you're gonna get all pressed because you're a little sad ass bitch.
Like,
no, bro,
talking
you're coming in, and I can't hear, bro. Can you shut up?
Yeah, I just
Did you know that if you close your lips, you will shut the fuck up, which will make my life 10 times easier?
Extinct. We'll just block him. It's done. Yeah, just mute him. It'll be fine, man.
Yeah, but I'm gonna fucking block him. These fucking ass.
Yeah, so for me personally, when thinking of like psychedelics and like talking about them in terms of the spiritual experience, I don't necessarily fully agree that like they're completely useless, right? But I also think they're a tool, and used in the proper context, like anything, I think they can be very helpful for people, and with the science behind them indicating that you can do so without any risk of damage, out of any risk of like losing dignity, any of these things. I think that is very powerful, right?
Yeah, I'd have to.
I think that is.
I'll reserve. Oh, sorry, Lem. Forgive me. I interrupted you. Go ahead, boss.
How black he is.
No, I was gonna say, if you're interested, like one of the books that I read on this was How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, and he goes into like the history and the science behind it. It's very interesting. That's kind of where I got a lot of my information from.
I'm not, so I don't claim to be any kind of expert on hallucinogenics. I've never tried them myself. So I have to confess my ignorance, but I don't know. I mean, you'd have to show me an example of someone not.
You wrote nigger with that.
Hold on.
You wrote nigger.
1 second. Hold on, I gotta mute this guy.
This nigga Messiah said, ask her.
I can't have racial slurs on my stream. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh, hey, thanks,
Psychedelics.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So, so I would say, welcome, Raiders. I would say, brain fart ADD moment. Oh my goodness, where was I gonna say with that? So yeah, I'd have to see this alleged not loss of dignity. Like I think like I don't know much about microdosing either, but I mean if someone were to take a small dose where they're not tripping, I don't necessarily would see that any different than let's say someone taking a particular herbal supplement. So yeah, I don't know enough about it, but it doesn't sound intrinsically bad from what I'm seeing. So, hey, thank you so much.
Do you think that someone who uses psychedelics to talk to God is that a a situation that wouldn't be?
I see. That's an interesting question, Deceased. I guess I would say I'd have to. Hold on 1 second. I just realized my stream is not getting the entire screen here. Oh goodness, it's only been getting a partial screen this entire time. Yeah, if they said that they were using it to commune with God, I'd say that's not the way which we're taught in the scriptures to commune with God. So yeah, that would be my initial reaction.
So would that not be God?
Yeah, no, I think it's very I mean, it could be. I mean, I think, if someone was praying while drug use, I wouldn't say that they're certainly not encountering God, but I would just say I don't think there's any advantage to encountering God. And I think there's a possibility you could be encountering, you could not be encountering God. You could be actually encountering some sort of demonic entity. I think that's a possibility. Shakto says in chat, if you're using psychedelics to talk to God, who you're talking to is precisely not God. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, Shock. I would say, I mean, somebody could just be in genuine kind of average prayer whilst using psychedelics, and they could possibly be talking to God legitimately. But yeah, no, I think I get what you're saying there, Shock, and I would agree with you that I think this may very well open you up to some more demonic influence. So I think that would be my concern, and especially sometimes people talk about bad trips that they go on. Like that makes me think, this is possibly something of a demonic origin. That seems quite reasonable.
With the bad trips, what it's supposed to be doing is showing you the parts of you that you don't want to see. You have ego deaths, and you're supposed to take away a lesson from what you do there. The thing to me is like I can understand substances like hold on. You're talking about there's an intended lesson and there's a desire to be seen something. Would you say this is God, or who's this intentioner behind the intention that you're describing? It's you. It's your
oh, so
your
I'm telling
mind,
myself something.
What the parts of
So, but what gives you
for me with? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
It very may well be God communicating with you. Who's to say? Because the only people that said that psychedelics were bad were the people in the government who outlawed it. I mean, it's not something that is just. I mean, it was not even mentioned in the Bible. Because I don't think they're native to that area.
Okay, so what's okay, so I would say that's a different kind of drunkenness. You'd say, okay, well that's not alcohol, but let's talk about this. Why do you suppose drunkenness is a sin? All right, that's very clearly enumerated repeatedly both in Old Testament and New. That drunkenness is contrary to God's will.
It's
Why
also translated. So what did the original word mean relating to alcohol specifically?
Excellent question. So I would say words, you bring up an excellent point, Deceased, is words only have meaning in community, right? So what are we to say this is drunkenness or this is not drunkenness? What is drunkenness, right? And so I would say the community that gets to define the terms is firstly Jesus, right? And Jesus' definitions got passed down to the apostles. These are the writers of the New Testament. And these
but
New
the apostles didn't write in
10
English.
10 seconds. Yeah, you're right. Right. And then the opinions of the apostles got passed down into the earliest Christian church. And so I would say the earliest Christian church speaks heavily on this, and they get to define the terms, right? So was there ever a group within the entire, even a small segment within the first 1,000 years of the Christian church that said, yeah, psychedelics are awesome? And I think I don't think you can find not a single one. And so that makes me think, okay, yeah, the church was it was not encouraging of this. Sorry, go ahead. Thanks for hearing me out.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, it's hard to tell because obviously, yeah, language shifts, but who's to say that, I mean, anybody in the church, we're all still humans, we're all still mortal beings, and so humans make mistakes. So who's to say that?
I totally agree, Shock.
That word wasn't.
I'm not saying the drugs are enhancing it in any way. Absolutely agree.
It was. If it does just mean...
I agree. I agree with everything you just said there,
Shock. Let me just look up the etymology of the word so I can not sound like an idiot here.
I totally agree with everything you said there. Warrior of Light says, but it is God-breathed. What's God-breathed? Yeah, the scriptures? Absolutely. Yeah, but again, how do we... It's God-breathed, but we have to understand... Oh, weird. I had a weird sound thing happen.
Old English drink of Germanic origin, related to Dutch drinking and German.
Yeah, I think the exact etymology is a little bit less important than kind of the distinction between drunkenness.
I totally agree. It's got to be. I would just simply say, because, how do we understand? So the thing that's God breathed is like these different words like
between them.
Presbyteros, episkopos,
right? We look at like these kind of religious definitions
these
on these things.
These different Greek words are absolutely God breathed. But how do we understand what those words mean? Like any pastor will look at the original meaning of those words, how they were used in the earliest communities, and infer what is the God-breathed meaning, the inerrant meaning from those contextual resources.
I wonder if, those were things that were mentioned. They might not be specifically called drunkenness, but they might have been at least mentioned or something at the time.
Totally agree with that.
The thing is, though, is like... So, the thing about psychedelics is you build an instant tolerance to the drug. So if you do a heavy trip one night and then try to do it the next night, it won't happen because you immediately build a tolerance and you have to wait about 2 weeks for the effect to fully hit again. So it's not something you can get addicted to. You can become psychologically addicted to anything, obviously, but it's not something that people can get addicted to. So it almost seems like it was intended for a more spiritual use, something that you use as a tool, if it's not really meant to be an addictive substance.
Yeah, I find psychedelics for me, right? One of the things that I think is like when you talk about the messages and information that you get from a powerful trip. I think one of the big things is there's a lot of things that we know, but we don't intuit, and we don't take into ourselves. Like, I feel like, for instance, we might, know that we should love thy neighbor, but deep down we value, certain benefits to ourselves.
Yeah.
And taking psychedelics to make you really confront that difference, right? And you have to come to a decision. Do you really believe this and is something that you're willing to act on, or is this just a platitude for you that you're willing to toss aside at your own benefit? And I feel like there's a lot of those things where, it's you just don't confront truths, but you know them.
Is the second Timothy? Okay, good. Here we go. Yeah, all scripture is God breathed. Yeah, I don't deny that in one bit, Warrior. Totally agree. Oh, sorry, I was talking to chat for a second there. Sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted. Yeah, so no, I totally agree.
Is it okay to drink coffee?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Yeah. But
coffee is a drug.
It is. Yeah, and that's what I said. I never said drugs are inherently bad. I just simply said that drugs that change your dignity are. You're right. I'm not in any way sloppy. In fact, if anything,
change
I'm
your
less
dignity.
Yeah. Like, so I'm not undignified. I'm not like, I saw this one dude, he was tripping, he's wide-eyed and kind of sloppy, and they were tripping on, was it capote something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever. And
peyote.
Peyote. That's what it was. And he's like really big eyes, and he's like leaning back in his chair, and like that. Like if you saw Queen Elizabeth doing that, you'd say like, man, this is sloppy. This is like you don't have capacity to take care of your kids when you're in that kind of state. Like. And so, like, I would say in all of these things, this is not being a holy, righteous, dignified human being. Like, this looks sloppy. This looks I don't know how else would I describe it. You wouldn't want the Queen. I think it's just self-evident by the fact you wouldn't want the Queen of England, like as she's giving a royal address, looking like that. The like you can't even like there's a lack of. I mean, I think you said that you would say deceased. It looks like an enhancement to clarity of mind. I couldn't disagree more, at least from what limited perception I've seen of those on psychedelics. It looks like a total lack of clarity of mind.
Okay, but let's say someone likes to do cocaine in order to get their work done, right?
Yeah.
It's a good booster for them to get their work done. Would that not fundamentally be on the same level as someone who drinks a cup of coffee in the morning, to get through the day?
Could be. Like there's some people that have
but those are obviously inherently different,
Well, I would say
circumstances are much different.
Yeah, okay, you have with the cocaine thing, you have the added component that it's illegal, and we're called to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. We're called to obey our government forces. But let's just say we lived in a country where cocaine was perfectly legal, and let's say I had built up so much a tolerance to cocaine use that for me it was similar, maybe like a hyper cup of coffee. Like for that person, for that individual, who just sees that their effect is a hyper cup of coffee, an exceptionally strong cup of coffee, it may not necessarily be that loss of dignity. It may not necessarily be sloppy.
You guys actually
and so that's. I mean, it's possible that would be a less sinful instance. Or I don't think you could say non-sinful instance, because I think there's a damage that amount of tolerance to cocaine would require an unhealthy use in the past. But yeah, so I wouldn't say like cocaine is. I don't know. I don't know about enough cocaine. Maybe I shouldn't speak this. But I mean, could you conceive of a situation where cocaine use was not sinful? I think you probably could. So I don't think it's cocaine in and of itself or marijuana in and of itself. I think it's all goes back to the scriptural warrant against drunkenness and a loss of dignity, to be upright, to be sober-minded. The scriptures use that language a lot, to be sober-minded, to not be inhibited at all by in your mind. So yeah, I think that's kind of some thoughts off the bat.
Okay, yeah, well then, let me throw this situation at you then. What about like sleeping pills? Because like I know a guy who, and sleeping pills are awful because you essentially stop building new memories. Like you just don't remember anything that happens, and you can like wake up in the middle of the night and do things, and you have no clue. Like one guy I know got in his car, drove to the convenience store, bought a bag of Skittles or whatever, and then came back, and he didn't even know until he looked in his car and saw the receipt.
I'm also trying to be
I think that could fall under the category of drunkenness.
Much stronger
but
here, but
those
I'm
people
intentionally
need that
not,
medication
Warrior.
to sleep. That's how they go to bed, and they are functioning people outside of that, but they have that element of drunkenness. So, like, I think there is a really fine line between what can be called a medicine and what falls under the category of drunkenness. But I think a lot of it is just what our government has set in place. It's just things that were not even thought of before.
Again.
The Bible doesn't even reference those things.
No, I know. I think it is a fine line, and I think there you'd have to see the instances, right? I mean, because we use very hard opiates in the case of pain management. I mean, holy guacamole! Like when I had Demerol once with a kidney stone back in 2000 whatever, and dude, that was man, I can understand how you get addicted to this. This is some very powerful drug. So I think it's not merely, what the drug is. It's again, what's the effect having on that drug. But again, I can't help but think that a lot of these people, who they like how drugs make them feel, and now we're looking for a way to justify it after that base reality of I like how drugs feel. I don't know. It seems to me, I wonder. It sounds to me like maybe that's the motivation. I don't know.
I don't think so, because a lot of these things are older than us, and they've been around with
I know, but the person who's making the argument, but the person who's making the argument's not older than time. Are they really finding that argument appealing on its merits, its own, or are they finding that appealing because they like that it justifies their opioid use? And I'm sus of that.
I think there's
a lot of it we don't know about because there's no studies.
It really comes down to I think we talked about earlier. I think there are people that just want to feel good, but that question of whether they're intentionally diagnosing themselves or self-diagnosing or self-medicating themselves. I feel like it's a very fine line, and it might not be mentally clear to somebody. Whether
so also guys be aware I'm trying to be cordial. I mean I could come down much harder than I am, but I'm trying
really
for the process of debate
and what they are actually,
and also
mentally why they're taking the drug.
I
just not
to be kind and considerate.
And I feel
I'm not coming down as hard as I could. I agree with all of you what you guys are saying.
Almost all of them have some anxiety issues. Almost all of them have some depression issues. And it's they're taking these substances to cope with these things, but when they started, they were just doing it for fun, And it really comes down to the self-medication kind of thing. And I think more often than not, that's really why they're doing it. Even when it is, they're saying they're doing it for fun. It's not what they're really doing it for.
You are next to the mic. You can say hi to Nayana.
So I wanna address a comment I got in the chat. Ambassador for Christ says the answer in simple and plain is no. So what do you mean by that? So when the previous comment you says purely to eat and not to make drugs out of them. So what do you say about opioids that are used for pain management in hospitals? Is that answer simple and plain no? I would say no, it's not simple and plain no. I think and if you get some really terrible painful conditions like a kidney stone or your arms gets lopped off in a motor vehicle accident, I think you're going to be thanking God for what's the one they use a lot now?
Modern medicine, morphine, fentanyl.
Whenever you
fentanyl, fentanyl maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Maybe one day, I don't know if you are down.
I don't know. Yeah, Oxy was the one that was popular for a while, but I think that one's kind
of.
Take care, Warrior. Thanks for being here tonight, boss.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do want to kind of prod your mind more about this kind of dignity thing.
Yeah,
I think it's.
I totally agree with you, Ambassador.
Interesting, but yeah.
Oh, so Ambassador was clarifying his point. He says, but using them to communicate with God, I would say, yeah, no, if taking here's my simple syllogism as a Christian on this question. If taking hallucinogenics it increased your ability to commune with God, Jesus would have explicitly told his church to take hallucinogenics. He has not done so. Therefore, they do not enhance our communication with God. So that would be my simple syllogism for why I just refute, or I disagree with anyone who says, to a Christian at least. Now, again, if you're an animist or you're lots of other religions, I can understand why you say that. But specifically for a Christian to make the argument that this is an enhancement to my communion with God, why did Christ not teach that? Why did he omit such a very helpful thing in the communion of God?
Well, why did he leave so much up in the air? I mean, like, wouldn't we have like a manual the size of a truck, of every situation that, because like there's so much semantics essentially about the Bible question. Because of, do you take it literally or figuratively because of the translation too? And it's like, well, what aspects do we take literally, and
great. And this is why I think this is why Christ gave a church, right? Like, I would say, we have a history of interpretation, and I think we do have a manifold, that extra specific volume. I mean, I think Christ works through his church, right? Like, I think there's something else I was going to add to this. Oh crap, my brain is fried a little bit here, but that'd be a beginning of an answer. I think there's more.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please, Neil.
Just asking random question.
Sure.
To answer this. So when you guys go to McDonald's, get diabetes and get fat, would you sue McDonald's for it, or would it be like your fault because you went to McDonald's and eat from there? Like, isn't it actually the same thing?
Yeah, I would say you're responsible for. Yeah, I don't go down the road of saying. So what does that connect to? So I'd say no, you're responsible for your diet.
I say because people are saying like, oh, like drugs might be good, and it might be good like in the moment where you do it, but actually you don't have anything from that. Like, it's just good for the moment, but in longer terms you will feel actually shitty because you lost your money on that.
Right.
Like,
okay, can I say something about that?
That's the difference of LSD and psychedelics.
So the first time that I did magic mushrooms, I had a spiritual experience, and it made me realize a lot of things about myself. And then the next day there was no like harsh come down. It was just like I became very mellow, and I went upstairs and I hugged my mother. I very much just like loved my friends and appreciated the people around me.
Hey, QB, what's going on?
And it allowed me to incorporate that, and I started meditating, and it helps with my anxiety and things like that, or generally just working out more because it inspired me to be more healthy. So it's like, why would he give me this tool that helped me get my life in order and helped me become a healthier person if it wasn't meant to be used like that, if it was for something else?
Yeah, so Hikari brings up on
not everyone gets an
Hikari brings up on Twitch. He says, we tend to complicate things. Mind-altering drugs. Bible says to be sober-minded, meaning clear-minded. Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with you. Like, that's where I've been going this entire conversation. But I would say,
but that's clear of any drug. That would mean clear of any drug, including coffee, including alcohol.
No. Because there's no altering of dignity. There's no, I mean, like Tylenol, like Tylenol. Tylenol is not making me not sober minded. It's a drug that's for pain control. But there's no one could say, look at Pastor Brock on Tylenol. He's not sober minded, right? Like nobody's making that argument can't be made.
It's kind of like the last conversation I had with him.
So,
not like a face.
Oh, sorry.
But I don't know. That just seems like such a literal take because a kid who's on Ritalin in school so he can focus is that. I mean, that's not a sober-minded person.
I would say so.
Inherently on a substance.
No, they're on a substance, but I mean, the question is, I don't think sober-minded is defined on a substance, right? Like I don't think that's how you define sober-minded. And here's the other thing is like. This goes, so again, why isn't God super clear on this? I think the other thing is God works within communities, and understanding that their pastoral care is always personal, right? And so, I think God works through his pastors in trying to deliver spiritual care to certain situations. And I think where Scripture is not explicitly clear, I think that God works through his church and his pastors delivering spiritual care to that specific person. So yeah, there's something else that's gonna add to that. My brain is not being very clear tonight. Maybe I need some more coffee to get more sober-minded.
Holy cow.
You're good, man.
Raven, the
yeah. I mean, one of the things I kind of wanted to talk to you, because it really seems like the idea of the sober-mindedness.
Yeah.
And comparing that specifically to psychedelics kind of comes down to this kind of dignity thing and this loss of dignity and this loss of clarity of mind. And there is a level of that I can kind of understand. I do think there's the bar set for what dignity is in this kind of context. I think is a little bit misleading. I mean, you often said, like, you wish the Queen of England, you want her to be dignified. But, I mean, like, there's times where people are not dignified, but they need to be that way. In the terms of, like, the Queen of England, I mean, we all need those times where, like, we jump on the bed and, we get, butt-ass naked. And, like, I don't want to see the Queen like that. I'd be like, what's she doing?
Right.
I think with, like, psychedelics specifically, right, there is a question of, what is kind of going through the mind and how the mind is operating. Mm-hmm. And to me, the science suggests is operating on a wavelength very similar to meditation and prayer. So it's not like, yes, it's not perfect. It's not like we're perfectly in sync. And like there are people who are doing dumb stuff on it.
Yeah.
But using the proper set and setting, there are people that can have it is almost identical, and they're not running around. They're not screaming like, there's apes. I saw apes on LSD or cool stuff. They're really having this intense internal journey.
Isn't red wine a holy substance?
For me.
What do you? Depends on what red wine. I mean, are you talking about the elements used for Holy Communion? I would say Christ. Well, I mean, it depending on what you mean by holy substance. I mean, is that the substance by which Christ communes through the use of wine? Yeah. But it's not. I'm not drinking. I'm not in church to drink wine. I'm in church to receive the blood of Christ. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Just like there are some people who don't, they're not eating the mushrooms to get high. They're eating it to have a transformative experience.
So yeah, I know, but see, right? That goes to my next question. Is I think I'd ask the person. Why do you want to use LSD? Why do you want to use mushrooms? And I think, to thine own self be true. Like, I think they're doing it because they like it, right? Like, I mean, let's be fundamentally honest about this. Like, they do it because they like it. And I mean, let's be honest.
My argument again. My argument against that would be that if you are going to a clinical trial for LSD to cure depression, you're doing it to help you with your depression. I would say that would be the difference. Like, I think if we're kind of removing variables here, right, and specifically talking like a clinical setting, there are people doing it to get help.
So, guys, I'll be right back. Sorry, my headset just died. My headset just died. I'll be right back. 1 second. I have to open up on the desktop here.
No problem.
Actually, you know what, guys? It's
12:30.
Actually, you know what? I gotta head out too. Hey, Deceased, I love you, man. Good talking with you. Again,
it's always good to see you.
Yeah, dude. Always, you got great comments all the time. So actually, I didn't realize how late it was, so I'm gonna go to bed too. All right, take care, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, buddy, you get going. It was good seeing you.
Likewise, man. Take care. God bless. All right, chat. Well, thanks for hanging out tonight. I mean, if you have any we could wrap this up. If you guys have any final questions or comments or things I didn't address, I'd be happy to address it. Workday starting soon for me. Well, have a great day at work, friend. Much love to you, QB. Yeah. Okay. So Ambassador says they're searching for joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, faith. Well, yep. The gifts of the Spirit, man. That's a good way of phrasing it. Yeah, that'd be a good way of phrasing it, man. Are you looking for joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, love, self-control, gentleness? I just realized I'm being so loud. You know, I think that's definitely the thing. Well, I got a better drug for you than LSD, man. I've got the Holy Spirit, bro. Let's come check him out. Thank you so much, Akari. Appreciate that. And again, I can understand why some people might be frustrated that I'm not going more hardcore, but I don't think people will listen to you if you do that. You know, like, I think people begin to shut down, and I think you have to navigate these conversations as considerately and lovingly as you can, without compromising the truth. See, that's always the things I'm trying to balance. I want to compromise nothing of the truth, but be loving and pastoral. I think that's a key term. Pastoral is very important. Pastoral, the word pastor literally means shepherd in Latin. The word pastor equals shepherd. And so if you're a good shepherd, you kind of like are coaxing. Come this way. You're not like taking your stick and yanking them, right? Like you're kind of coaxing them. You're trying to lead them in the right direction. So that's what I try to be in a lot of these situations. I try to be pastoral. So as pastoral as I can be, and compromising none of the truth. That's my prayer. That's at least my objective every time I put on my VR headset. God grant it that I would not err in that pursuit. Yeah. Very true. Yeah, the Holy Spirit. Yep, the righteousness of Christ. Good stuff. All right, fam. Well, I think we're probably at the end here. Let's see who's on. Is my buddy Jate on? It's so funny. I was thinking Jate's name came up in my head even before I saw him on. Yep. So that was perfect timing. I think. Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say the Holy Spirit told me to raid Jate, but I don't know. He was in my mind. So let's go raid my buddy Jate. I saw a post of his earlier, and pretty cool on Facebook. Yes, Jate is my favorite Jate. I have to ask him, how did you get the name Jate? I have to ask him that. I think he told me once it was a family name. So, good night, everybody. Hey, Pingmaster, thanks so much, man. Thanks for your support. Thank you for being a subscriber here. You too, Shock. 10 months. Oh my goodness, it's been 10 months, Shock. That's insane, man. Thank you so much for your support. Let me see who else I've got on here that's subbed. Thank you guys so much for everything crazy. I don't know if you're probably gone, bud, but thanks. You guys rock. Thank you guys so much for everything. Night. Much love. Go check out Jate. Au revoir.
Strategist live raided with 1 viewers.
Travis, thank you for the raid. What's up, man? Hey!
Pastor Brock VR is now hosting with 7 viewers.
And Pastor Brock, thank you for the raid. What's up, guys?